Welcome back to the J&J Show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Jake.
And we are now joined by Kyle Long. He is now going to be a new permanent member. He's a sophomore at our high school, but I would just like to let y'all know that he will now be on the show for the rest of the year.
It's still the J&J Show. We're not changing the name.
Yeah, it's not going to be JJ&K. That sounds stupid. It's still going to be J&J the rest of the year, guys. All right, this week we're going to be talking about the NFL playoff games, how they went from this past week, what we think's going to happen this week. We're going to be talking about Kyler Murray. He officially declared for the draft on Monday, and we're going to talk about that. And that's it. All right, let's start with you, Jake. Let's start with the Kyler Murray situation and how he handled it, all right?
The fact that he said to the A's that he's going to go to the NFL unless they give him $15 million, that's kind of scummy. That's not right to rob someone of their first-round pick. I wish he could play in both, and maybe in the future he can, kind of like Bo and Dion did, some of the famous two-sport players. But it's kind of scummy. But at the same time, I'm still excited because I really want to see Kyler play more football, and I'm excited to see what he does. I'm a big fan of Kyler. Yeah, what do you think, Kyle?
First of all, you didn't even let me introduce myself. Rude on your part. But, I mean, I don't know. If you're a football guy, you want to play football. If you're a baseball guy, you want to play baseball. But to ask an organization that you've never played for $15 million is ludicrous in my opinion. And for me, this shows GMs that, I mean, he can't be trusted. And there's two schools of thought for this whole situation. One, you see Kyler Murray in the draft as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you have to pick him. The other school of thought is, I don't know where this guy's loyalty stands. I can't trust him with a first-round pick. Yeah. So a lot of this is going to affect his draft stock tremendously with a lot of teams. See, maybe the Cardinals take a big chance on him and go maybe 1 to the top 10 picks with him, but he falls there. I'm not sure how far he'll go.
I still think he's going to be the number 1 overall pick with the Arizona Cardinals. They said they're going to take him if he declares for the NFL. And also, by the way, if he gets taken in the first round of the NFL draft, he'll be the first player ever to be taken in the first round of 2 sports, of the MLB and the NFL. He'll be the first player ever.
The newly added Arizona coach, Kingsbury, I feel like when he said, I would love Kyler Murray as a quarterback, he said that as maybe a situational thing, as maybe I'm not going to draft him first overall pick, but maybe I would love to have him, but I don't need him.
All right, what do you think, Jason?
I would just like to say that once you get to the NFL, NBA, MLB, whatever professional sport that you end up going to, I feel like it always ends up being more business than loyalty type situations. Who do you think is going to be the best player for your team? And I personally, I like the way that Kyler's playing this whole situation.
Me too.
I like the fact that, he wants his money. He knows he's a great player. He knows he'd be great in baseball. He'll be great in football. So I like the way he's handling this situation, to be honest.
I wish he could play both, though. It kind of sucks that he can't.
Yeah. All right, so next we're going to move on to last week's playoff games. Obviously, all the top seeds beat the wild card teams. How do you think that they played the Saints, Patriots?
Yeah. So there were 2 blowouts, or maybe not blowouts, but the games weren't close, which was Chargers and Colts. Or not Chargers and Colts, Chiefs and Colts. I called that one. I didn't think it'd be close. The Colts were on a hot streak, but they're not necessarily a great team, in my opinion, yet at least. And then the Patriots and Chargers, that one surprised me. That was not a fun game to watch. I really thought the Chargers would win, at least make it a game, and I kind of feel bad for Phillip Rivers. Now let's move on to the 2 close games. So, my boys, I think, I really hated some of the ref calls, but I'm not going to blame our loss on that. Our defense, and especially our defensive line, kind of, they kind of lost us that game. Dak did good, in my opinion. Amari did good, in my opinion. Zeke did pretty good. We let them run too much on us. They threw on us, and I just think we kind of fell apart. The refs didn't help, but I think we'll come back better next year. But the Eagles game, now that game was funny, all right? The ending of that game when the ball went straight through Alshon Jeffrey's hands, that's one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
Foles' magic got stopped right in Alshon Jeffrey's hands.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Foles' magic got stopped by his own player. It was hilarious. I loved it. I just loved the disappointment on his face. It was beautiful. Also, speaking about Foles, I just want to add this in real quick. I think that they're going to trade Carson this offseason, and I think Coles is going to be their guy.
I just want to say a couple things about this. One, I called the Patriots game. I said I know it was going to be a blowout. I don't think the Chargers were playoff ready. Two, Colts weren't necessarily a great playoff team. I knew they had some upsets in them, but, I didn't really expect them to take it that far. But
they beat to get there?
They beat the Texans, which that was a pretty big upset.
Yeah, it was.
And now for the Eagles and Saints.
Mm-hmm.
That was got to be the funniest game I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
When I checked the score and it was 14-0, I was freaking out.
Is that good?
It was, but then Alshon Jeffrey just let the ball slip right through his hands.
Oh, yeah. Perfect throw, too.
Perfect throw. I mean, I don't know how you dropped this. And fun fact, Cody Parkey, who is a Bear, lost the Bears-Eagles game. And the Eagles, who also had a former Bear player lose in the game, Alshon Jeffrey. I don't know. I find it funny.
Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, they were in the perfect position to win that game. 2 minutes left on the Saints 30. They were down 6. So if they scored a touchdown and made the field goal, they would have won that game. What do you think about this, Jason?
You said they down 6. They scored a touchdown. That makes every point. Obviously, they're in the lead. But they would also be playing against Drew Brees, and depending on how much time they would have gave him, 30 seconds is a lot of time. So I mean, even for Drew Brees, depending on where they start the ball, he's a great quarterback.
How many timeouts the Saints had?
I'm not sure how many timeouts the Saints had at that point. 3.
3.
So yeah, they could have moved the ball down the field really fast. So even if they score, depending on how much time is left, the Saints could have still went down the field and won the football game on a field goal. But now we're going to be talking about the Patriots versus the Chiefs and the Saints versus the Rams. Kyle has something he wants to say first, though.
Right before we head on into this, Jake, since you're a big Cowboy fan, I just want to ask you one thing. How do you let Todd Gurley and an offensive lineman rush for 100 yards each?
So, after the game, an interview with some of the some of the Rams offensive linemen, they interviewed them and they said that they watched our film and they could predict 90% of our defensive linemen's plays.
That's kind of how film works if you watch enough of it.
No, I know, but it's because we were too predictable. Like they could predict. I know that's how film works, but you can't predict 90% of someone's plays because if you can do that, you'll win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were too predictable from week to week, and so their offensive line just was able to predict all of our plays, make the perfect holes, and they ran all over us. Especially C.J. Anderson. I feel like he did a lot better than Gurley that game, and so I feel like it is our plays are too predictable. That's just what it came down to, I think.
I feel like C.J. Anderson is doing the big boys homage. He really carried the Rams team with Gurley that entire game. They had 200-yard rushers, which hasn't happened in a while, I want to say. But really, in my opinion, if we're talking about the Cowboys right now, in order for them to be successful, they need to get rid of their offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's running a prehistoric offense, which is not going to work in today's NFL, and Jason Garrett. I think he's a major problem in the Cowboys.
I agree with Garrett. I think we can do it with Garrett, but he has to have the perfect coaches under him. And we're not going to get rid of Garrett now. They've talked about contract extensions, so Garrett's here to stay. But I still feel like we can do it under Garrett. He just has to have the perfect coordinators under him, and Scott Lanahan is not the perfect one. We need to get rid of him. I love our defensive coordinator, but we need to improve on our offensive coordinator, and I think we can really be competitive, even under Garrett.
All right, so now we're going to move on. Top 2 seeds from both sides, Patriots versus Chiefs, Saints versus Rams. If you wanted no wild card teams in this far, you got your
your wish.
Yeah, you got your wish. Let's start with Patriots versus Chiefs. Who you got?
All right, so this is a rematch. Patriots won by 3 in New England. But now it's flipped. It's in Kansas City. But there's also another factor. Last time these two teams played, a player that was on the Chiefs got them almost 200 yards, and he's not there anymore, Kareem Hunt. Still their backup running back, now starter, might be pretty good, but he's not Kareem Hunt. He's not as good as Kareem. So that's also a factor. Now, I think the Chiefs are going to take this one. Home field really helps in this situation, especially deep in the playoffs. And the Patriots had an average season, and the Chiefs, I feel like they're feeling kind of hot. You know, they don't usually make it far in the playoffs. That's kind of one of the knocks on them. They kind of have a curse, and they're here. This is a new team under not Kareem Hunt. This is a new team under Patrick Mahomes, and a bold prediction: if the Chiefs win, Kelsey, Watkins, and Hill will all have 100+ yards. And I think the Chiefs are going to win, so I think that's going to happen. And I have the Chiefs winning by a touchdown.
I have the Patriots winning in this game. The Patriots may have been the higher seed last week, but the Chargers had a better record and, in my opinion, had a harder schedule. And we all saw how the Patriots dismantled the Chargers. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was a massacre.
The Patriots in the playoffs are different than the Patriots in the regular season.
It's like LeBron James in the NBA playoffs. He can't be stopped. Mm-hmm. Now, I have as a bold prediction that Tom Brady throws over 450 yards on the Chiefs defense.
Woo-hoo!
I think it's going to be a shootout. I have the Patriots winning by I have them winning by 5 points or more.
Okay.
All right. I like your bold prediction, Kyle, but they scored 43. It was 43-40 the last time they played, right? I like that bold prediction, even though that's a lot of yards, but you never know. It's Tom Brady. He's got, 6 rings?
Five.
Five.
He needs one more to finish the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, he's a straight title game. I like that bold prediction. All right, now we're going to go to the New Orleans Saints versus the LA Rams in New Orleans. Who do you got, Jake?
Actually, I'm going to let Kyle take this one first.
Now, this is, in my opinion, it's a coin flip because both teams have not really been consistent lately.
Yeah.
The Saints, they haven't been playing like they did in the regular season. Like Drew Brees isn't tossing for 300 yards a game. Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram aren't getting loose. Michael Thomas is still doing his thing. I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Thomas. And then we go look at the Rams. Jared Goff isn't, putting up 300 yards a game like he was. Todd Gurley, this was I believe his first game back last week. Mm-hmm. But on the passing, it hasn't been that good. Defense, it hasn't been that good, which is very surprising with all the acquisitions they got over the offseason. But I feel like the Saints take this one.
Okay. The Saints won by 10. This was also a match that happened during the regular season. The Saints won by 10 at home. And in this rematch, I think interceptions are more important than anything. These two teams are way too good to not capitalize on interceptions. If one of these teams get an interception, it's going to turn into points. And I think that's way too important to pass by. Whoever throws more interceptions, and Breeze is good. Goff is good, but Breeze is phenomenal. You don't see many interceptions from this guy. But I think that whoever throws more interceptions or maybe just turnovers, whoever has more turnovers on offense will lose the game. Whoever turns the ball over more will lose the game. And I think but I do have the Saints winning. Breeze is more protective of the ball, and if the Saints win, I have Michael Thomas having over 200 yards. And that means that Breeze will have to have over 200 yards. He'll probably have close to 400. So I'm going to call the Saints winning this one in overtime. What do you think, Jason?
I would just like to say I don't think the Saints are getting beat at home. All right, now we're going to move on to I would like to ask y'all who you think is going to be the breakout player this week. They don't get a lot of attention, but who do you think is going to make themselves be known this week?
He's not really I wouldn't say he's exactly an underrated player, but I believe that rookie J.C. Jackson for the Patriots is going to have a breakout week against Patrick Mahomes. He covers a slot against Tyreek Hill, which is that's going to be Mahomes' primary target. I could see J.C. Jackson have maybe 5 tackles, maybe 2 interceptions.
Now, my player isn't really a breakout player. To say he did great last week, but he's not their starter. I say that C.J. Anderson, once again, has over 100 yards on the Saints, behind Todd Gurley. He's not even their starter. I think C.J. Anderson helps the Rams out here. I still think they're going to lose, but I think C.J. Anderson steals the show for the Saints offense.
I want to make one more bold prediction for the Patriots-Chiefs game. I could see Sony Michel and James White combining for 250 yards total.
Okay.
Not only rushing and passing.
Yeah, because one of them's a dual threat.
Okay. Next, I would like to say, who do you think is the most overrated person in these two games?
The most overrated player?
Yeah, like they're good, but like,
In
are
my
they
opinion-
really that good?
In my opinion, this is going to hurt me to say it just because how much I love this guy, is Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, you took mine.
It's Rob Gronkowski.
Yes.
If you look at the stats last week against the Chargers, which the Patriots tore him apart, I believe he had one reception for 19 yards.
You took mine. I've always said Gronk is overrated. If he even makes it throughout the whole game, because he gets hurt way too much. I think he has less than 50 yards. He either has an amazing game or he's not even there. So yeah, I want to say that one. Yeah, so Gronk's mine as well.
All right. Speaking of Rob Gronkowski, Jake just mentioned he gets hurt a lot. Do you think maybe after this year, maybe next year, time for him to retire?
For me, it's painful to say it just because I'm not a giant fan of the Patriots, but I love this guy so much.
Why?
He is so funny, and he's such a party animal. I love the guy. He's such a good personality.
He's not even the best tight end in the league.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore.
He hasn't been for the past 2 or 3 years.
I'll give you that, 2 years.
Okay.
But in the past, he was the most dominant.
He's actually playing against the best tight end.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But in the past, he was the most dominant tight end receiver in the league.
Okay.
I think he's going to retire this year. And it pains me to say it just because how much I love this guy. And I loved watching the old Gronk play, but I don't think he can continue.
I think he's going to retire this year or next year. And if they win the Super Bowl, it's going to be this year, I think.
All right. Well, that's all we have for you today. I'm Jason.
And I'm Jake.
And I'm Kyle Long,
Sophomore. All right. Yeah, sophomore mistakes. We'll let them try that again next time. All right. We'll hope y'all listen to that next time. This has been the J&J Show.